Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel review anything and everything. Today I'm just getting into a follow-up video of this comparison between the EasySMX X05 Pro on the left and the Gamesir Nova 2 Lite on the right. Now, I did a comparison video between these two before, and I had a chance to play with the Nova 2 for a bit of time, and the X5 Pro, I didn't get a lot of time to play. I did play it within the video and kind of showed you guys some context and some stuff, but I had owned the Nova for maybe about a good, I don't know, maybe 4 days beforehand, which is a little more time to kind of like really get into it. And so what I've been doing lately, I haven't been playing any more 3D games with these since the time of doing the recording of the video. I have been playing a lot of 2D games, specifically Streets of Rage 4, which side scroller, I wasn't able to show that on the review because that's on my phone, which I record on, versus I was able to show you guys side scroller Ninja Turtles because that was on my son's tablet and, you know, obviously other platforms than what I normally play it on. So I was able to kind of give you guys to show it and talk about it. But Streets of Rage 2 definitely puts it through its paces, where it's definitely a more rigid game than Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and where the preciseness, I feel, kind of almost matters more because the game is less fluid, if that makes sense. Not in a bad way, but just it's less fluid and more precise. Like every little second, every little split action means something, similar to the way like a fighting game would be. Like it's very more akin to like Street Fighter or something like that, where that precise movement means something, but you're obviously using the D-pad. Now, in the beginning of the review where I had, well, in the previous review where I compared both of these, and that was the first review on this, and that was kind of like almost the second review on this, or in the comparison, I already did a review on the Nova 2. So with the X5 Pro, it was the first look at it, and I did say some comparisons and how this one feels. And one thing I did mention too before is that this one feels a little bit more higher quality in the hands. This one right here feels good. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel weighted. It's got texture on the grips, which is nice. So it's a good controller, but I mentioned that this one feels a little bit better. As I play more with it, it's almost like that small percentage of being better adds up the more you play with it. And so, like I said, I've been extensively playing a lot of Streets of Rage 4 in the last maybe like 2 or 3 days from the time of the recording of this video, and really been kind of putting these through the paces. And one thing I mentioned, because I did a follow-up at the end of that review where I had finished, but I ended up adding a second part at the end because I had a chance to kind of play a little bit more, and I started like kind of talking a little bit more in detail with the D-pads on them. And this one, like I mentioned before, at an initial feel, I don't like it. I don't even like the way it feels now when I'm feeling it. But when you're in the middle of the game and it gets really intense, you can make do, you can get used to it. What I've been doing when I've been playing Streets of Rage 4 these last couple of days is I'd go back and forth because I would play them wirelessly. And now the Bluetooth, like I said, I did make an update before at the end of that previous comparison about the Bluetooth, because I started playing with them and I didn't want it to seem like I first had made the impression that the Bluetooths weren't as great as I thought. I've been using them both, so maybe it was just them getting settled in. I've been using them both on the Bluetooth, on my phone, playing Streets of Rage 4, and they're seamless. No delay or anything of that sort. So maybe the first time I did that with this, maybe there was a hiccup, maybe there's some interference. I've used it enough now where it's consistent like 100% of the time for both of these. So I definitely want to say that the Bluetooth is not a factor at all. But going back to what I was pointing out, this is a lighter control. The feel of this feels significantly better the more you play with it. On the first handling, you notice that there's a difference, but you don't realize how big of that makes a difference in your hands. This one feels lighter, this one feels heavier. You don't notice that until you really start, you know, maybe a good 2 hours of playing with this, 3 hours of playing with this, then another 3 hours of playing with this, and then you do the same with this like the next day, and you do the same this with the next day, and then it starts becoming like, you know, you really get into it, but swapping out every single time that you play. Like if I play like a 2-hour session with this, because I actually wasn't feeling good the other day, so I had nothing to do but stay inside. I had a little stomach virus, so I couldn't go anywhere. So I played like a good 2 hours on this one. When I'd stop playing and I would go plug this one in to charge, not that it was running on battery, I just wanted to give them both an equal time. I'd do like 2 hours with this one. Then like the next day, 2 hours with this one. The next day, like 2 hours with this one, or whatever the case is. That's when you really start noticing that feel that, okay, that little difference on a first pickup starts to become significant. Not enough that I'm going to tell you this is bad. It's not bad, but this feels a little more just premium. Probably feels a little more to what you're used to, excuse me, if you're coming from, like, say, an Xbox controller. As I mentioned in the comparison, I was coming from an Xbox 360 controller, and this has that same level of weight, if not maybe a tad bit more weight, while this one is lighter. And like I said, when you're in it, you're fine as far as the weight and the feel, but when you pick something like this up, you realize that difference. It seems insignificant at first, until you start doing it back and forth. And you're not going to be in that situation. If you chose this, you're not going to be doing that. But I'm letting you know that this definitely feels better. Now, going back to the feel, I'm sorry, before I jump to what I'm about to get into in terms of the D-pads, because I made a comment about that before. This semi-rubberish grip they feel in the back, it doesn't feel like heavy rubber. It doesn't feel like it's something that will peel off. It almost feels like it's part of the controller, in a sense. Like, it doesn't even feel like an external coating or anything like that, because it's so thin, but yet it feels so nice. After a while, you notice that, like I said, once again, going back and forth in the hands, this one has the textured grip and it feels nice. It's a good controller, but it's like, this one is that slight edge between the weight, between that rubbery texture feel. It's really good. Now, people have said whenever you have like grips like this, if you have a white color controller, it could start to show signs. This is black. That's why I was happy to get black, and you don't have to worry about that. So that goes hand in hand with the premium feel, like I said before. Now the other thing, the D-pads. Get a little bit of grime gets on them. That's just unavoidable. But anyway, so the D-pads, and I think this is a big point. I had mentioned that when you get into the gaming, you almost forget that this D-pad doesn't feel very solid. And I mentioned before, but this one feels like a little bit like sticky, not sticky. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not, it's like almost like this is the extreme of one end, very light. This one's the extreme and another end, a little bit mushy. But, and I said like the Xbox, my Xbox 360 controller felt right into the middle. It felt perfect. But as I actually use this, I'm really starting to grow on me. I really like it. It does feel precise. You do got to get used to the feel a little bit, but this still feels a lot more natural than this. It feels sturdy enough. You feel like the clicks require a certain level of input strength to use it. It doesn't feel like it just clicks super easy. And this whole control is about soft touch. So the buttons are mostly silent. You don't get that loud click when you're pressing normally. I don't know if you guys can hear that difference because the mic is not near there. What I'm gonna do is, let me take my mic off and I'm gonna put the mic near the controllers. I'm doing the D-pad. Okay, now the Gamesir Nova. The D-pad. So that's fine in general, but my point to that is I don't really care about the noise. My point that I'm saying that for is that this requires, or the D-pad has a more sturdy feel to it when you press it. So I feel like your motions feel more significant, and it feeling a little bit more stiffer. At first I was like, I'm not sure how I felt about that when I first did the initial comparison, and that was kind of the initial review of this one. But after some time I realized I'm fine with this. I'm actually able to perform on this so much better in a game like Streets of Rage 4, which is a great test for it, than the Nova 2. The X05 Pro is just way better in that regards as time goes on. Now, when I'm using this, if I'm thick into the game and I'm really in it, I'm gonna make it do what it has to do. It just doesn't feel as good. And at that point, like, I feel like it's, I don't know how to describe that feeling of like, it takes more out of you if that makes sense. Like you have to consciously think more on it. You have to make sure that you're more precise. Like you got to really do that hard motion because you want to make sure that the clicks went through, because in that game, anyone who's familiar with Streets of Rage 2, you're doing a lot of double tapping. And I mentioned before in the comparison review that the double tapping is the areas where sometimes like a D-pad can be hard to deal with, especially with this. And that has a lot of the double tapping for one of your special moves. So for those who are familiar with the game, so that definitely becomes a thing. Especially when, if anybody's ever played Streets of Rage 4 on Mania Plus mode and you're not using no kind of bonuses or cheats or anything like that, because I've seen somebody on a video who was using Axel with some kind of rolling flaming move that rolled across the screen, and you know, some content creator made this and they were just destroying everything on the screen, but it didn't look like your conventional user playing. They're just rolling around using the same move all the time, and somehow they weren't dying. I don't know. But if you're just a regular player who uses all your moves and you just try to survive the best you can, everyone knows at Mania Plus, it is hard. And anytime you're moving the controller around and you're doing a motion in the D-pad and something doesn't go as you need, that makes the difference of you getting like smacked around, possibly even dying, losing 50% of your health in just 1 second versus like you defeating a whole horde of bad guys. So it really put it to the test. And I could say with that being the case, that this one feel-wise is significantly better over time. You really notice that significantly better over time. And the D-pad is actually significantly better as well than this one. Now, both of these, like I said, at the time of the recording of the previous video, I have it checked right now, but all same links are going to be in the description down below for you guys to purchase on Amazon. Both of these were going for the exact same price, a sale price of $27, and the regular price is $30. Once again, I will say this. If I was jumping back into this now with this updated comparison, as far as, you know, me just kind of advising you guys on what I would choose, this and that, and after this experience, knowing that I can use this obviously wirelessly, you can use it wired, but it's not coming with a usable wire for wired gaming. After the feel of both of these, if I had to choose, I still would say both of them are a great deal. I think they're both good controllers. Before I said I would go with the Nova 2 Lite because of the accessories. I'm gonna say this now. After experiencing both and playing with both, specifically for what I'm using them for, I've been playing a lot of the Streets of Rage 4, which obviously is a 2D side-scroller game. This is not good in that department. Both of these are great for 3D games. But certain things kind of become a caveat. So I'm going to say this. Have I changed my mind on which one I would pick? I like using this one more currently at the moment. Overall, I would probably say between the premium feel, between all the things, but it's the same price. I think now I would lean towards this one, but not because my feelings on this one have changed. I still have the same viewpoint that this one, I even said it then, this one feels a little bit better. And that this one, the D-pad, I think I even mentioned them before that even though it was a little bit whatever, I still prefer this one's D-pad over this one. Like I said, the feel, the rubber grips, I don't know how long these will last later on down the line, but for now, I'm sure they'll last at least a good 5 years before any kind of wear and tear. I had mentioned in the previous video that this one overall felt better. But what I said was I chose this one at the time because of the accessories. I still stand by that. I would choose this one now, but I still stand by this one's accessories are very good and worth it to where you can go either way. It's just that me having them both in hand, I kind of like the feel of this one better now. I do like the feel of it better. But at the same time too, if this was the only one I had access to and I could only buy one, though I like the feel of this one, I'm trying to say this in a way where I'm not trying to tell you that I completely changed my opinion in regards to the value you're getting out of this. It depends on what's more important to you. If I didn't have this one, I wouldn't have the option for a longer wire, which means I would have to see, do I have an available USB-C to USB-A wire that's 6 feet long? It's not enough just to say, I got a couple of wires laying around that I use for charging my phones, this and that. Do you have one that's long enough that's a USB-C to USB-A? Because I don't know if you can use USB-C to USB-C. I got a USB-C port on my computer, but maybe not everyone does. And I don't even know if it would work going through that port, or if it's made to go through the USB-A when it receives it into the computer. So being that I don't know, let's just assume apples to apples, a USB-C to USB-A controller, USB-A wire. I have a few 3-foot ones laying around to use for your phone. I don't have one that's 6 feet long. This one comes with that. If that becomes a new expense, one of those wires can easily be $5, maybe $10. It doesn't sound like a big price, but when you're comparing a budget controllers that the price is already affordable, $27 to on sale and $30 when not on sale, that extra $5, we'll say it's like $5.99. You'll say you pay $6. That extra $6 on the controller brings you to almost $40 controller price tag level, which might be a whole different set of things you want. So at that point, you're no longer in that budget space. So we're trying to compare it from what you're getting. And with that being said, I could survive without the wired plug-in, but I like knowing that that's an option. Now, granted, if you're playing on your phone, you don't need the 6-foot cable. You can use the one that comes with it, and that's fine. But if you're playing also too on a, let me correct myself. If you're playing also on a PC with a monitor, 3 feet is often enough, because when you're at a gaming table or whatever the case is, 3 feet is going to be like where I'm standing right now to like where these boxes are. And a 3-foot wire is fine for that. So this little particular thing I'm saying may not apply to most people. But as I showed in my comparison review, I was using this on my living room TV. And so when you're at a living room TV or TV in your room, and it's a pretty decent sized screen TV, because nowadays everyone's going to have at least like a 50-something inch or larger in their main room, wherever they're playing their video games. You're not going to play on a TV to be playing on a 20-inch TV. For that, you're just going to play on a monitor. And 6 feet is usable. 3 feet is not. When you're looking at a decent sized screen TV, 6 feet is usable. So if that's not your situation, and if you don't need the traveling case, I love the traveling case that comes with it. That was another thing I pointed out. It comes with a traveling case. Not only that, the dongle's smaller and it fits in the travel case. You'll never lose it. This other one's dongle, I keep it next to my PC, but you know, that's something that you have to factor in. So going back to just recap and finishing this off, I know this video got long, but I just really wanted to kind of bring this to you guys. If I had to choose based on feel, if I didn't care so much about those accessories, didn't apply to me much, meaning I'm never going to travel with my controller, I just leave it maybe in the TV stand, you know, where you have your I forget what you call that now, but the proper term, but you know, where you have your game system or your PC, say if it's in your living room or something like that, and you've got the TV stand, and you know, you've got the little shelf at the bottom of the TV stand where you could slot in, you know, like your different things, like your DVD player, your PC, whatever the case is, and you have that there, you got space to just leave your controller right there next to your PC, you may not need the case. If you are fine just using the dongle all the time, and then you keep it charged when you need to keep it charged, the battery should last you at least a good 8 hours or better. You know, you don't need the wire, you're good with that too. You don't have to worry now about, you know, a 6-foot wire. In addition to that, if you have like your dongle is always plugged in, you don't have to worry about traveling with it and it fitting inside the case, because you don't travel with it. At that point, this controller feels better to me, and I would take this. Mind you, a little asterisk. This one's extra buttons are here. If you're one of those people who like to program extra buttons, the Nova has buttons back here, so that could just be a deal breaker for you. But if you're just a casual player like me who is used to the Xbox 360 controller, so extra buttons don't even apply to me right now in my stage of gaming, this one just feels better. If, like I said, under the circumstance I just explained to you, I would choose this one. Now, if you are like, I like to play wired, then you get this one. If you're like, well, I'm gonna travel with my game controller because sometime my friend, I wanna go to their house and they got a PC, but they don't got an extra controller, go with this one. Once again, if you're the type who you don't wanna leave your dongle plugged in all the time and you wanna have a place to store it, get this one because it fits right in the case. So I still stand behind that this is the one to choose if those accessories mean something to you. And when I first started playing, I was really hyped about those accessories. That's really one thing that made a big choice for me, because I was like, no matter what, by default, I definitely want to be able to plug in the controller. But now I got used to not having to plug it in, and this feels so much more like a premium controller in its feel that I definitely think, I even said it too about the sticks feel a little bit more stiffer than this one feels a little bit looser. They don't feel bad, but these ones are a lot more like loose, not, I don't want to use the word loose, but like, I guess you could say more responsive. And this one has a more stiffer response, which feels better to me, that a little bit more resistance. The buttons feel better. The D-pad feel, the D-pad feels better. The weight feels better. The rubber on the back, the light level rubber, it's not heavy rubber, but feels better as well. The connecting point is better on it too. It's just a kind of true point of connection where you put it in that mode and that's what it's in. This one, you've got to do a combination of button presses to make it happen. Now, I had showed on the previous video that there is a reset that you can do that enables the Bluetooth to, you know, like if you're having some trouble with it, or even the Bluetooth or even the dongle, you have a reset process with this where you press the home button and the this little circle button here. You see a little circle design on it, and it will automatically like do like a reboot, and then that way it'll connect instantly. So there's a workaround, but nonetheless, this one just put it in that mode and that's really it. And this one's not like that. So for all pro reasons and a pro feel, a better feel, I think now I would choose this one. Like I said, just under those circumstances I told you, you don't need these accessories, I would definitely choose this one. So anyway, I'm sorry for that video being long, you guys, but I really wanted to put that out there because I wanted you guys to, for anyone who's really into that gaming space, looking for a budget controller, I really wanted you guys to know that difference. They're both great controllers. You could choose any one and you're gonna have a great controller on your hands. No controller is perfect, but I just wanted to say that because my opinion has changed a little bit versus the previous one. Not really so much my opinion as much as which one I would choose. Not my thoughts on each computer for the most part. I mean, on each controller stayed the same. As always, you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.